Hi, folks. You are watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media. On all of our channels and networks, I'm Mike Morales here in sunny Southern California. That frostbitten young man out there is
Jim Johnson in Youngstown, Ohio.
Jim is sitting under how many feet of snow, Jim?
Well, if you take all the total from last week, we're a little over 1.5 feet.
Oh, that's not bad. You can cross country ski to work.
Yeah, or sled down the hill, and yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's easy to get around.
Well, this is an interesting situation that we have here, folks. We are going to test and dissect a celebrity tequila with some non-celebrity PR companies we've discovered. Today we will be touching base with Via One. This is, first of all, I gotta thank the folks that did send this to us, because most often celebrity tequilas just ignore us, and after they sell the brand, then we get the samples, because that's what happened with Casamigos and a few other ones. I think there's one other one that actually did that. Otherwise, 818 though was really sharp. They sent us, we were on that short list, and the original 818 is good. They've moved to another distillery. They built their own fairly quickly. We haven't tasted the juice coming out of that distillery. This one, Jim discovers coming out of a really good distillery. So, yeah,
a good distillery that makes a lot of good stuff, but also has a couple of one-offs in its past that seem to follow this fashion label kind of celebrity bottling thing. But maybe they had the capacity to do that, and if you're making money off of that, you can make the good stuff that way. I would probably say, hey,
yeah,
we'll do it for you.
Let's do this. Let's just now. To be fair, they sent me a Blanco and a Reposado. Okay, they only sent Jim a Reposado, so we're only going to taste the Repo. And
right.
I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to contact the folks at VO1 and go, hey,
well, right after we film this, I'll find the Blanco chilling somewhere in storage, and then we'll do that tasting.
Well, yeah,
or I didn't get it, which I'm pretty sure I didn't get it, but that's okay.
Yeah, we'll investigate that mystery, off camera. But in the meantime, we're going to pop this baby open. We just broke the seal off of it. I just had to kill the cellophane. Boy, this thing is. They sent this to us months ago, and we held back. That was after our cutoff for Brands of Promise for 2021. Oh, okay. I'll buy that. So here it is. It's a nicely engraved bottle. This is is this a fleur de lis?
Yes.
So is Joe, by the way, if you're not familiar with who owns this brand, it's Joe Jonas. I think it's Joe, right?
Jonas and no, I'm sorry. It's
one of the brothers, Jonas.
Nick Jonas and John Varvatos.
John Varvatos. Okay. He's a fashion designer, evidently, and my own understanding is he actually designed a stopper for Patron. That was the first time I'd ever heard of him, because I'm not a fashion guy. So I mean, look at me. I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and shorts. So I don't know why they chose this, but it's kind of cool. It's a substantial bottle. It's heavy.
Yeah, it is. It's thick.
I am going to pour mine in a Stasso Jarrito, and we're just gonna go to town with this one. Okay. Oh. Nice color. It looks even better on camera. That's because my lighting's not all that great. Look at that. That's a heavy. I don't know if you can. There you go. Yeah, that is a nice. That's like a copper top, isn't it? Or
yeah, it feels. It's pretty heavy. It's solid.
Yeah, and you've got a copper lip on the bottle. On this, looks like a beer growler. I don't know. But I like it. It says life. What's it say? Life is as it should be.
Life as it should be.
Oh, life as it should be. Okay. Well,
And we don't have, Huh. Yeah, and we
Wait,
don't have
that's the wrong family. Is that the right family or the wrong family? I don't know.
but 6 months in an American oak barrel for the Repo.
Okay, I'll buy that. That's about right. That's what it looks like here. In fact, let me grab a napkin so you folks can see that. It's actually a very pretty color. There you go. Look at that. Wow, that looks really good.
Yeah, nice body to it.
Oh, nice legs and tears. What I know about the two gentlemen that run that distillery, who are master distillers to a few of the brands coming out of there, they love their legs and tears. They want to see that. That's nice. That's pretty. Wow. I know that Dave and I flipped over Rooster Rojo that comes out of that distillery. It was actually quite well done. Ka also comes out of that distillery.
And Cielo.
And Cielo, yeah, you and I did Cielo together, and that's Cielo.
One of the better ones I've had in a long,
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, they know how to make tequila, which is
Right
probably,
now. They've also taken a couple of those one-offs, like I said, where it's
Yeah. Well, you
but
know, here's
again-
if you look at the gnome list, they actually, the rule of the gnome list is that the past tequilas will, and that have moved, will remain on that list if there's product on the shelves. And once the product is gone, then they can remove that name. And so they, at some point, they were making Costco tequila, and it was at some point Costco tequila was good when it was coming out of that distillery. The problem with Costco is
it's coming from those guys. It's got to be good product, even though it's mass produced.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. They kept beating the price down, and they said no more. And Costco moved. So Costco's somewhere else now. But there, you may find some of these errant bottles that they have made, and that's actually really good juice. I have had it when I was living in Albuquerque. They were making it at the time, and it was really decent juice. Now it's just diffuser. So
right.
Okay, so we got beautiful legs and tears. We have a pretty color.
Yeah, nice gold color on it.
Oh, hello. I smell barrel.
I smell barrel. It's got a little cocoa on it.
Yeah, it is a little bit sweet, but it's got alcohol there too. There's enough alcohol coming through.
There's a little, that alcohol's got just a hint of menthol on it. It's almost that you catch a little mint chocolate chip just in the middle there.
Did you just have a Girl Scout cookie?
I just ordered my Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, did you
I just placed the order about an hour before we did this. And it's all Samoas though.
Oh, Samoas. Okay.
I'm a Samoa slut.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think I've had Girl Scout cookies in the past. I love them. They're dangerous. That's why I don't order any of them unless they come knocking on my door. But they're really good for pairing with like booze. You know, I've noticed that because like, wow, this is
there's an entire every year they publish it. There's a whole wine and Girl Scout cookie pairing list that comes out in, I think, like Wine Spectator or
one of the
wine magazines. They publish a pairing list.
Wow.
For a Girl Scout.
For
those of us who sit on our couch eating boxes of Girl Scout cookies and drinking wine.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, because Girl Scout cookies. Wow, this is
really
very
pleasant. A lot of that kind of, it's very, but I get a lot of that sweet, and not chocolate, cocoa, like cocoa powder, sweet cocoa powder.
Do you suspect that's coming from the barrel? It has to.
I would imagine. It's almost like there's almost like a baked, a little bit of baked sugar too that gives it that sweetness with the alcohol.
I am getting also agave. There's agave on the as it opens up, the cocoa and the barrel notes take second place, and that agave starts coming up.
Gets just a little bit more vegetal after that first whiff of cocoa kind of opens.
What I do know about the distillery, and I have visited, it was actually one of the very first ones we visited when we did our first trip. I know that they've got autoclaves. I don't remember them having ovens. They may, but I do distinctly remember autoclaves, which is okay. That's fine. I'm ready to dive in. This reminds me a lot of Cielo.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, let's go in. Let's dive. Okay, first pass, maybe a little too sweet for me, but that was just the first pass.
Well, and I tell you, there's barrel in there. There's definitely barrel,
Oh, yeah.
and but that sweetness is like, it's not sugar sweetness, and it's not floral sweetness like we sometimes get with that like citrusy floral.
Mm-hmm.
That's more like vanilla caramel, which has got to be barrel. And it says American oak, but I bet it's a bourbon barrel. And I bet the char on it's pretty mellow, light.
To even get this kind of color though?
Well, you can still get this kind of color off that char, but if you get a little bit more char, you get a spiciness in it, a little less char, and you're probably going to get a little bit more of the corn sweetness out of the whiskey part of it, the bourbon part of it. And that charred corn, burnt sugar is caramel. So you get a little bit of that caramel in it. But it, you know, it's not saccharine. It's not bad. It's vanilla. It's caramely, but it doesn't, the nose kind of belies what the palate has on this.
Yeah. And to be fair, that was just my first pass. I haven't even had coffee yet, so I've got my palate's clean. But I'm going to go in again because there was something I detected there that I've had before that I'm not a big fan of, and I want to make sure before I say anything that I'm wrong. Okay, because I could.
I'm curious what you think that is. So the second time I get a little bit more pepper in the back, and a little bit of that cocoa came through on the front, and a bit of menthol in the middle, kind of combination of the alcohol. But I would bet what you're getting in this, and I don't know what you're going to say, I'm just throwing it out there because there's a little bit of cellulose. That's why I think it's a not really heavily charred barrel. Some of the fresh wood instead of some of the burnt wood coming through and giving it that little bit of kind of vegetal tannic kind of little interaction there with the sweeter notes.
Okay, that was the second pass, and this is what I detect. In the past, and if you've seen any of the other videos where and it's usually in the Reposado, and even heavier in the Añejo, there are brands coming out of certain distilleries that are using a candied orange flavoring. And now you and I years ago had Molly Nolly. We loved it.
Yes.
Probably that one was using,
Yes.
but they were using additives in the right way. They were using it like a rum maker would make it, or a sherry person, and it was done so well that you couldn't even detect anything false on it. This one, I want to say that what the orange I'm getting, the orange peel, maybe orange blossom, it's light. It's not as prevalent as what I've tasted in the past from other tequilas, and even a couple that we've done this year. And they're coming from one particular distillery, not from this one. I've never detected this flavoring coming out of this distillery. And if I'm detecting it, I can't even say that it's artificial. It could be real. It could be coming directly from the barrel. This could be a real thing because it's not lasting. the thing that I detected in some of the other ones is that it's so artificial that it's on the finish, it's on your palate, it's coats
Yeah,
your
this is
palate.
very slight in the midpoint for me.
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
got that.
Yeah. And then it disappears.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, coming from a bourbon standpoint and just knowing a little bit about those barrels. If you've ever had the white part of an orange rind,
Yeah.
the cellulose of wood can have that flavoring on alcohol depending on how it was rested. So if this is a first use barrel, which I doubt it would be, I mean, I would imagine they're going to use an ex-bourbon barrel. It's really dependent upon what was in that barrel before they put this in there that would draw out this flavor. And I'm getting a lot more of the char's lighter. There's not the spice of it. You got a lot more of that baked cocoa and vanilla and caramel flavor. So the char comes out from the barrel, but the barrel also probably had a sweeter corn heavy bourbon in it to give it this kind of caramely sweet, and that corn and that cellulose in the barrel gives it that little bit of a fruit skin cellulose kind of flavor that tastes like that. But it's not bad. That's not a bad thing.
That's just it. That's just
it kind of hits and gives you a little transition point from that cocoa vanilla flavor to a menthol white pepper in the back for me.
Yes. And see, that's the thing. I'm so used to detecting that flavoring because there are a lot of new tequilas coming out, especially out of one particular distillery that is using that orange. Some of them are really heavy-handed on it. Yeah. This one is not a lasting, which leads me to believe that it's real as opposed to artificial, because some of those artificial ones you just can tell. The more passes you take, the more it coats your palate, and you're going, this isn't natural. This is why are they doing this? You know, and it always starts with the reposado, goes into the añejo, and sometimes in the extra añejo, which there's an extra añejo from a particular brand I haven't even touched, and I guarantee you it's got more orange flavor candied in it than you know, a bag full of citrus from the supermarket. And I can smell it. It's on the nose now. What are you getting on the nose?
Yeah, so if it's in there like that and it's opening up with it, I would imagine it's a little bit more of that natural kind of barrel infused flavor. But this isn't a really long finish, but it's got a retro nasal, and I've got a little bit of a kind of a menthol tingle on my palate after it's gone down. So it does last on the palate for a while.
I can get it on the nose, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And I don't know, it's because I'm jaded now, because I detect it in other brands not coming from this distillery. The more it opens up, now I can really smell it. It smells like orange. Tell me it doesn't smell like orange to you. There's a candied orange or something that it's candied, like a gelatin or something.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of candy's got that caramel vanilla sugar smell to it because that's what it's made with. So, you know, if you get enough of that with a little bit of that, we talk a lot about when we smell stuff that we get a nose that's got an orange floral or a zesty lime and a floral. This might have a little bit of that orange floral, but that cocoa, caramel, vanilla sugar thing is going a little bit more on top of it, which that's what makes me think that's natural.
Okay.
Given the fact that I think if this were an additive, it would smell more candy orange than it would have smelled like cocoa vanilla on the front end before it opened up.
Yeah, that's normally what I detected is when when they're using it, it's the first thing you smell.
It's like opening a can of Slice and just putting your face in it. And,
yeah.
But this doesn't have that until it opened up a little bit, and I wonder if it's just a little bit of that combo of the alcohol and that kind of caramel sugar effect that's coming off the nose. It just gives it that. It's not fake. It's not fake, but the alcohol sometimes doesn't transmit that the right way. It could smell chemically, but it's a pleasant nose.
Well, yeah.
but when you open it up, you do get that little hint of that kind of candied flavor.
But now it's evolving. You know, when we first opened it, it was barrel. I could get the barrel notes, and then as it opened up some more, as it bloomed, I got agave, which I was happy to you know. And what I know about the ones that are using an additive like this, that comes across like this, you don't get any of that. Some of them are so poorly made, you don't even get barrel. It's just so overtaken by the additive that's all you smell. And we didn't get that. We got an evolving nose and an evolving palate.
Right.
Because I get the bitterness at the end, like you were getting, a little bit of the menthol. Yeah. It's got a
little menthol, little white pepper, but right at the top and very short, there's a little bit of the smoke of the char, just a little.
Okay.
I'm getting just a touch of that, but it's fleeting. And it's weird because usually we get these, we get a lot of juice that it's got a consistent flow of the flavor profile through your palate, or everything's there and you kind of experience it all in different levels through your palate. So the same flavor profile the whole way through, but the sweet stands out in front, the mineral stands out in the back, whatever. This actually goes through three very distinct flavor profiles for me. The front is sweet, got a little bit of a bourbon caramel cocoa. The middle's got a little bit of smoke and menthol and mint. And then the back is a mineral white pepper and not a deep finish, but then I've got that retro nasal that kind of comes up a little bit.
The other thing that I've noticed also when that additive is being used, and again, they're primarily used in the aged versions of the aged expressions. What I've noticed is that it doesn't, sometimes it creates more of a cinnamon spiciness of pepper on your tongue,
Right.
on the mid palate. You know, kind of emulates a little bit of the baking spices and things like that. I'm not getting that with this. You know, it doesn't. It's like you said, it's a pepper, not a baking spice, hot cinnamon kind of thing that's going on.
Yeah, and the white pepper is almost an effect of the minerality at the end of it, which is less. It's a little bit more astringent. It's not a fake flavor. It's the actual astringency with that little bit of minerality that comes through as that white pepper hit right here. I don't feel like this has got fake ingredients in it.
Okay. I don't want to believe that they do. No, because I love this distillery. They have some great juice that comes out of there. And like I said, even when they were making Costco tequila, I would buy it because it had a great reputation. And I knew the distillery. I said, well, they got to be making it really well. But, you know, like a lot of distilleries that make tequila for Costco, they got tired of Costco beating the price down, making them, you know, there's no margin in working for Costco. Everybody knows that. You know, that's why you love going to Costco, because their pricing is ridiculous. And the only thing they're good for is moving product. You move pallets through there, and you know, you compete to be in those because you know you're going to move product that day. Sometimes you're only there once a month, you know,
right,
for that day. And we know how Costco operates, and that's okay. That's all right because they serve a purpose, you know. And some people buy great pricing for tiers of Llorona, you know, at a Costco, and
right,
that's almost a $300 bottle. And if you can get it for like $250, $220.
Yeah,
all day, I'll buy 2 bottles, you know.
Right. And here's my thing with this, because this is not bad. This is not bad.
I'm not going to slam it. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, because I think you know, you make a good argument, and it's not behaving like the other ones that I've had with that additive in it. Okay, it
right.
didn't do that with us.
But also, I think just because this is different for us, the way this is progressing through the palate, it's not bad, but you got to be prepared for that. There's that element of that cocoa in there that kind of on the second part of the palate, when I get that little hint of smoke and the menthol starts coming through, you can tell there's a transition point. Usually when we have really good juice that keeps that flavor profile the whole way through, there's balance the whole way through. The only knock I would have on this is it doesn't have balance right in the middle. There is a front palate profile. There is a back palate profile. The middle is a transition, and you know it. And that's where I think you're maybe thinking, ooh, there's an additive in here, because just for a sudden you're like, what is that? And then it's gone.
Yeah.
And then you get that nice mineral white pepper finish. The front's got a really lovely kind of baked cocoa and vanilla kind of sweetness. There's agave in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, but just that middle part hits like the cocoa lingers, the menthol and the alcohol starts, and it's a flavor nobody's ever had before. like what is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, you know, I'll buy that. Like I say, I'll give it the benefit. I even had to pour more because I'm not, you know,
and I poured this, the second time I poured it, that cocoa started out again and it's opening up again. So I feel like this is something coming off the barrel into this, that it's imparting that, because I don't think additives open up when you give them air. I don't, that's what it smells like.
No,
that's what it tastes like.
Additives are very, especially this orange thing that I'm detecting that I've had in other tequilas. It's dense. It sits right there and it doesn't go away.
The whole time.
The whole time.
I don't feel like this would evolve on the aroma the same way, giving it a little bit of air. Because when I pull it out of the bottle and I first smell it, I got that cocoa bourbon caramel. And then it starts to open up and a little bit of that floral sweet agave with a little hint of orange comes out, and that slight menthol. But I just feel like if this were an additive, it would just smell like that the entire time.
Yeah, see, and it's not doing that. Right now I'm getting alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, these bottles have been sealed, you know, on the living room floor for weeks for me. See, you're right. It's getting more deeper bourbon notes,
Mhm.
you know, barrel notes. I wish the finish were longer. I wish it behaved more more like a bourbon, not, you know, that warm fuzzy. It doesn't. It's got a short to medium finish. Yeah, you know, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the real example of how it should be done, and what the additives are trying to emulate is supposed to emulate this. This may be real, and the stuff that I've tasted that's artificial can't imitate this, you know, even though they try.
And I really feel like, I mean, if this were an additive, if this were unnatural, that little midpoint where that cocoa, candied orange, menthol alcohol into the mineral thing, if that were an additive, the cocoa and the candied orange would just then become the dominant thing, and there would be no minerality at the end because your palate would have already been coated with the crap, the additive.
Yeah.
It does make a nice progression into that kind of peppery minerality at the end that we kind of look for, and I like. It's just that little, there's a 1 second midpoint in this that's like, ooh, what? And then it just immediately goes into the finish, which isn't long. And if it were longer, I think that would give that note more time to settle.
Yeah.
It's like, there's that mid note, there's the finish, you're done. And you're surprised. You know, it's like, what do we do with this, Mike? What do we do with this?
I think it's brand of promise worthy if we're gonna argue about it like this, you know.
Well, and here's the thing. I poured more and I keep drinking it. I'm not like,
yeah, see, that's the other thing too. With that additive, you're repulsed. I mean,
yeah,
you know, we're not the average consumer, all right? But when you know it's in there, you're repulsed. You don't want any more of it. You know,
right.
it's not, it doesn't call to you. You just like, okay, I know what you are, I know what you have, and thank you for coming. You know, and we're done. But
I feel like this has applications. And I don't know if it's a cocktail application, but I think the flavor profile on it with a little bit of that cocoa and that vanilla sugar, even with that candied effect, you could probably sip this, maybe slightly chilled,
okay,
with a Maduro cigar.
Oh yeah, yeah,
or,
yeah,
or in a snifter, and actually pair this with some milk chocolate or some
Girl Scout cookies.
Girl Scout cookies, but because it's kind of got a little bit of a dessert quality to it.
Yes, that exactly. I see this as an after dinner, a digestive,
Yes.
something with I'm going to go easy because I'm not a gourmet like Jim is. A flan,
Chocolate covered oranges, just go the whole way.
yeah. Creme brulee. Yeah,
Hey, creme brulee, you know what? That's kind of a good way to put it. That freshly caramelized sugar flavor is what's up. It's almost a creme brulee flavor. And that middle note is where creme brulee has the creamy sweetness.
Yeah.
This just has that little bit of kind of cream, like a flat kind of sweetness to it in the transition. And that's the only knock I have on it, is that if that transition lasted longer and it played a little bit more on your palate, it wouldn't be such a surprise going right to that mineral finish with that little bit of white pepper and then nothing down here.
It's like
if this had a longer finish and that middle note was a little bit more profound, I don't think we would be having this conversation about what is that.
In broadcasting,
it's just so quick. It's like it's fleeting. We don't know what it is.
Well, in broadcasting, that's known as dead air. There's like a moment of dead air, and then somebody realizes the mic is off. The mic is on
counter. Oh God, you got to turn.
Yeah. Jeez. And see now, now I'm not getting it. It's almost like this is not okay. Having had the tequilas with the orange additive, this is not behaving like those tequilas, which leads me to believe, okay, the evidence points that it's real. And if that's the case, now in my head, I've got a bar for what the additive is supposed to emulate. This is and I've been to this distillery. I've had tequilas from there. I know that I've never had a poor tequila coming out of there, and I've never known them to promote a tequila with additives coming out of there. Okay, that's just not it's not their MO. It's not who they are. So I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna go brand of promise nominee.
I agree, and I'm gonna say that I think this continues to open up, and the aroma continues to evolve in a way that if this was artificial, it would just smell like it.
It would be
just
consistent.
And that would be it.
Yeah, I can tell you do more than one pour, and it's the same thing. Because sometimes I have to. I'll dump it and pour some more just to give it the benefit of the doubt, and it's the same thing. This one is
and possibly, and I'm guessing because this is a celebrity tequila, they're hoping to sell a lot of it.
Right.
There's no burn on this. There's no big hit that's going to turn you away or be overpowering on your palate. And perhaps that little transition point we keep talking about is just that midpoint of getting past the sweet and a little bit of the agave and getting you to that finish that makes you think, I've had alcohol, but it's not tequila. It's not off-putting to the mass consumer that this goes all the way down from.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if all you've ever had is that fake version of this kind of candied orange flavor, if they've emulated that naturally, you've been slapped so many times. Every time somebody puts their hands up, you think you're getting slapped. Well, this time
that's exactly it.
Raising their hand to say, I figured out how to get kind of a candy flavor to this, and it's not candy's bad. That's not the right way to say it, but it's a sweet orange little hit there.
Yeah, and it's little, and like on my first pour, it was a little bit more. It stayed a little bit more consistent. The second pour, it's evolving again. I mean,
you know what? I think a couple years ago, I mentioned this to you in a review, and I forget what the tequila was we were reviewing. And I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna watch every one we did back in the day and see.
How could you stand?
When I was a kid, everybody was making oranges studded with cloves, and they'd set them in a bowl of cinnamon at the holidays.
Yeah.
That is what this smells like. It's got the orange essence, but it's got that cinnamon sweetness. Not baked cinnamon, like just the smell. When you first smell cinnamon out of the jar, and It's got a little like a spiced sweetness to it. That's what this smells like. It's not fake. It's just, we're not used to this.
Wow. Holy cow, folks. I'm sorry. I know we've gone long, but we needed to do this because the additives are getting stronger, folks. And they're being more prominent in brands that are being launched right now. And I just can't. So yeah, you're probably right. I've been hammered so many times that I now I think anything that smells like and tastes like orange has got to be fake, right? No.
Right. I actually feel like this is a very natural flavor they've achieved. It's not bad.
No, that's the other
You're
thing too.
trained to think that that's bad because of what, and I just think if this finished for a little longer, that this would be absolutely something, an after dinner tequila, a tequila with cigar, something like that, because it's got enough sweetness and enough balance and not a lot of burn. I mean, it's kind of like, you know.
Well, like you said, it's celebrity tequila, so they're going with for the no burn thing because that's what everybody complains about, folks. That's called a finish, and you look for that. Okay, the burn.
This isn't college tequila.
Yeah, feel the burn. The burn is good. Okay, burn is your friend. I mean,
I agree with the brand of promise nominee.
Yes.
I'm puzzled by this. It's good. I'm puzzled in a good way of I've never had this kind of flavor profile on something before.
There's a blank space in the middle.
Right. There's a blank space in the middle. And I don't know what's supposed to really go there, but it's not fake. So if this were actually what you and I have had in the past that achieves that kind of saccharine fake flavor, I would not have poured a second one of these. I poured a second one because it was good enough on my palate that I wanted to find that midpoint. I still haven't found it yet. That's a U2
Well,
song.
when you do, let me know. We'll do another. We'll beat this one.
I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you. You too, huh? Never mind. You guys have.
Do we have to copyright that, or I don't know?
Buy the .com, U2.com. Yeah, I'm. You're right. I wouldn't have poured a second one either because having had the artificial one so many times, it's like you already know. Yeah. In this one, again, the reputation of the distillery. I've had tequilas from there. I've been there. I've not.
Some of the best I've ever had have come out of that distillery.
Yeah. You should get. I didn't, but Rooster Rojo. I'm over the moon over that tequila. It's really good. Yes, Cielo is another one. Cielo, I think, is a bit more bourbony, on purpose because they're based in Tennessee, I think.
Well, and you know what? Maybe these guys are getting weird with barrels. Maybe they're really starting to try to bring that element in for people like me, whiskey drinkers.
Oh, they are.
Because honestly, I would tell you that if you tasted this and if you handed this to me and said this is bourbon, and there was no agave flavor on it, that kind of vanilla candied orange note where you kind of lose it in the middle is very typical of the bourbon because you've got corn sweetness. So I think maybe this is kind of a barrel expression attempt of bring some of that in.
Those guys are geniuses. Both those gentlemen, Arturo Fuentes is the main guy. And then he does have someone else who oversees other tequilas. And I think that gentleman is the one that handles Rooster Rojo. And Dave and I flipped over Rooster Rojo. In fact, I think it's better than Ka. Ka, when it was being made at another distillery before it moved, before the whole lawsuit thing and the bottle had to change and all that other stuff, Ka was actually really good. They made a high proof Reposado that was killer. But they don't, and maybe these guys will come up with that. I've not known them to ever make a high proof, and I wish they would, because both those gentlemen have great palates. The plant manager, the master distiller, who's also basically a chemist, an ingeniero.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say flat out, I think these are really talented distillers that had to make a successfully mass-produced tequila that everyone was going to want to taste and not be, you know, I'm not, I don't listen to the Jonas Brothers regularly, but I would say that their fan base is a little younger.
Yeah.
They're not the Scotch and cigar crowd that can handle that kind of bold flavor. But for to be able to make something like this that you can mass produce and put out in front of people who might be newbies, there's a lot of complexity to this tequila.
Well, yeah,
There's a lot of really strong points on this flavor. And I think they just kind of toned it back just a touch. And that's the part you and I are missing.
Yeah. Yeah. That we've gotten from other tequilas that we've had from that distillery. So there you go.
Right.
We've dissected the hell out of this thing, the post-mortem. Stick with us. We'll have a post-mortem. No, we won't. But you know what? As a celebrity tequila, I would, if I had to choose between this and some of the other celebrity tequilas, I have a list of celebrity tequilas that are very worthy of following and just substantial, real, I think that's one of them. I think I would put this on this list.
I would too. I would say that this is, I mean, we don't take celebrity tequilas seriously because we think, oh, they're just trying to turn this stuff out. But
yeah, but they don't send them to us either. I'm willing to
that too. They kind of leave us out in the cold. But when you get a guy like Arturo making your stuff and you get it out of that distillery, you kind of expect what we got here, which is complexity and some really strong flavor profiles. I just think that maybe they figured out how to do that and get it out to the people that don't think like us.
Well, I have to applaud. It is Joe Jonas, right?
Nick.
See, Nick is a great actor. I like his acting. I'm not a big fan of their music, but I don't follow them. I'm a big fan of his wife. She's easy on the eyes, but and besides that, she's probably a very smart woman. But I applaud Nick for finding this distillery, because they could have gone to one of those. They could have gone where Soncoro's being made. Okay, they're being made at a maquiladora, mass producing maquiladora. Again, I got nothing against maquiladoras because they employ people. Okay, they make jobs. I got that. That's cool. But I like that they went here. Because the other celebrity tequila that comes out of there is Roger Klein, which is now being called Cancion. I know Roger, and that tequila, and I know how Roger thinks. That tequila is awesome, and he's got a fan base that rivals Jimmy Buffett. Okay, it's a cult fan base.
Right? As a parent head, I'm going to tell you, Mike, that's quite an achievement.
Go if you've never listened to Roger Klein and the God damn, why can't I think it, Roger Klein and the Peacemakers? Great music. The guy's a songwriter, and what a traveling soul this guy is. And so I know that, and I've been with him. I've watched him do tequila tastings with a crowd, and he can handle a crowd. He knows what he's doing. So that's the other celebrity that comes out of that distillery, and that's a great distillery. And it's a great tequila. So kudos to these guys. That's all I gotta say. That's it. That's our take. We're done. I'm sorry we've wasted all your time, folks, but thanks for sticking with us. That's our take. By the way, if you want the NOM number for that distillery, let's just give them the NOM number. Okay, it's an 80 proof tequila. It's 1472. Yeah, and it's Fábrica de what is it? Fábrica de Tequilas.
Fábrica de Tequilas Finos.
Yes. I love those guys. I love that distillery. I've been there. I'm convinced. Okay, you convinced me. Thank God, because I was really about to cry in my beer. If they had fallen off the natural wagon, I would have just, oh no, no. But that's our take.
Yeah.
Follow us, folks, on Instagram. Follow Jim on his Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. If you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify or watching us on Spotify, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, give us a like, because that helps us with the algorithm. Hey, whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.